In the shadowed tapestry of history, where legends of courage and strategy often take center stage, there lies a secret so profound that it shook the foundations of nations and ignited the fervor of millions. Surprisingly, it wasn't a mighty weapon forged in fire, nor a mystical artifact. It was the ordinary citizen. The drumbeats of mass conscription were reverberating across Europe, crafting tales of heroism, sparking the flames of revolution, and casting shadows of the precursor to total war. Today we dive deep into an era where the course of wars was determined not just by generals and kings, but by the sheer force of numbers, and by a renewed sense of identity that pervaded entire continents. Let's unravel Napoleon's not-so-secret weapon, mass conscription. The concept wasn't a stroke of genius sprung from the mind of Napoleon. The tendrils of this idea reach back into the shadowed annals of history, where echoes of collective duty and service lingered. However, it was amidst the tumultuous days of the French Revolution, against the backdrop of rebellion and the looming shadows of foreign intervention, that this concept found its voice, a voice resonant and potent. In those revolutionary times, the government, in its fervor to protect the ideals of the Republic and to defend la patrie, issued a clarion call. It was a call to every son of France, every hand that could wield a sword, and every soul that could bear the burden of freedom and fraternity. This was a departure from the tapestry of European warfare, where battles were often fought by professional or mercenary armies. These armies, skilled and disciplined, were the chess pieces of monarchs and states, their loyalty bound to gold and privilege. They were the guardians of kingdoms and empires, their fates intertwined with the ambitions of crowns and thrones. Mass conscription painted a starkly different picture. It was a mosaic of faces, not just the hardened visages of professional warriors but the youthful glint of the farmer, the resolute gaze of the artisan, and the fiery spirit of the revolutionary. It was an army forged not in the barracks and drill grounds but in the fields and workshops, its heartbeat synchronized with the rhythm of a nation in upheaval. The introduction of mass conscription heralded a paradigm shift. The battlefields were no longer the exclusive domain of mercenaries and professional soldiers, they were the canvases upon which the hopes, aspirations, and sacrifices of the common man were etched. The lines of battle were drawn not just by strategies and tactics but by ideals and convictions. In this grand orchestra of warfare, each conscript was not a mere pawn but a note in a symphony of revolution and change. They were the bearers of a new dawn, the vanguard of a world where the call to arms was not a transaction of gold and silver but a covenant of blood and sweat, a testament to the indomitable spirit of liberty. And so, as the tricolor fluttered in the winds of change, the armies of the Republic marched forth. They were not the well-trodden boots of mercenaries or the polished sabers of professionals, they were the footsteps of a people awakened, the echoes of a revolution that would reverberate across the annals of history. In the grand chessboard of war, Napoleon emerged as the ultimate grandmaster, orchestrating vast, sweeping moves that left Europe in awe and sometimes despair. With the infusion of fresh troops through mass conscription, his military palette grew richer and more diverse, allowing him a breadth of strategies previously thought unimaginable. With the might of conscription behind him, Napoleon had the flexibility to craft both broad strategic visions and minute tactical details. Flanking maneuvers, divisions acting as decoys, reserves being thrust forward at critical junctures, the synergy of these tactics was breathtaking. But the battlefield wasn't just about grand maneuvers and sweeping movements. The presence of so many conscripts fundamentally changed the face of battles. The front lines were ablaze with fervor and determination, with the cries of Vive la France ringing over the thunder of cannons. Each soldier, each conscript, carried the ideals of the revolution in his heart, which showed in the ferocity and tenacity with which they fought. The influx of conscripts also allowed Napoleon to employ the strategy of attrition to its fullest. He could afford to lose men, for there were always more to fill the ranks. Opposing armies, relying on professional soldiers, didn't have this luxury. Every loss for them was irreplaceable, each gap in their lines a vulnerability that the French exploited with ruthless efficiency. But perhaps the most revolutionary of all was the shift in battle ethos. No longer was war a chess game played by aristocratic officers with little to lose. It became a people's war, with stakes higher than ever. The conscripts brought with them not just the brawn but the heart of the revolution. Every victory was a testament to the power of the people, every defeat was a wound to the national pride. The essence of warfare was transformed, making each battle not just a clash of arms, but a collision of ideals, identities, and destinies. As the tricolor fluttered over fortresses and the La Marseillaise echoed through the valleys, the world witnessed a new era of warfare. One where the line between the soldier and the citizen was blurred, where the battlefield was as much a place of political statement as it was of military conquest, and where the fervor of a conscripted nation became the driving force of its unstoppable march. Yet, what truly made this conscription impactful wasn't just the sheer numbers, but the burning ideals it carried. Troops weren't just fighting for land or glory but crusaders of liberty, equality, and fraternity. As they marched across Europe, these ideals seeped into the lands, challenging old monarchies and seeding the roots of nationalism. The impact was profound and far-reaching. In the towns and villages they passed, conversations began to change. The cobbled streets and ancient taverns resonated with debates on freedom and equality. The old order, with its rigid hierarchies and divine rights, was questioned, scrutinized, and often, found wanting. The very foundations upon which centuries-old monarchies were built started to tremble. This was a cultural and ideological revolution. The ideals of the French Revolution were infectious, and they ignited the imaginations of people far beyond the borders of France. Napoleon, ever the strategist, did not limit conscription to France. He extended this model to satellites and conquered states. In regions like Poland, the locals saw Napoleon as a liberator. Conscription? They embraced it, hoping to rewrite their destinies. But not everyone shared this sentiment. In Spain and the Netherlands, conscription was often a curse, a foreign imposition, leading to rebellions and resentment. But while battlefields raged with new strategies, towns and villages back home were abuzz with activity too. Mass conscription required mass production. Blacksmiths forging swords and muskets, tailors stitching uniforms day and night, cobblers crafting countless boots, the once sleepy hamlets turned into bustling hubs of industry. And this drove a unique economic boom. Streets were alive with trade as new entrepreneurs emerged, seizing the opportunities that the war machine presented. But like all booms, it had its shadows. Families felt the absence of young men, chairs at dinner tables remained empty, and children grew up with tales of fathers they had never met. Farms, while being looked after by resilient women, missed the hands of their seasoned laborers. Vineyards went unattended, harvests reduced, and the very landscape of rural France began to change. The ripple effects of mass conscription were felt far and wide. It wasn't merely an army that Napoleon was building, it was an entire nation he was reshaping. An era where the clamor of war drums from distant lands resonated in the very heartbeats of the people at home, driving them, binding them, and challenging them in ways they had never imagined. The idea that an entire nation, every resource, and every individual, could be mobilized for war was both revolutionary and ominous. This wasn't just warfare, it was a total commitment, a precursor to what we'd later call total war. The boundary between the front line and homefront blurred, and the fates of nations hung not just on their armies, but on their entire populations. Every hearth was a cog in the war machine, every hand a contributor to the cause. It was a symphony of sacrifice, where the rhythms of everyday life played in harmony with the cadences of conflict. Long after the guns fell silent, after Waterloo and Napoleon's exile, the legacy of mass conscription lived on. It had changed the very fabric of warfare, economics, and national identity. The waves it created rippled into the world wars, molding strategies and influencing geopolitics. Even today, as nations contemplate the delicate balance of duty and freedom, the footprints of Napoleon's Grand Army are etched in the sands of collective consciousness. And there we have it, the tale of how mass conscription left an indelible mark on the annals of history. If this story of strategy, sacrifice, and societal shift has sparked a flame of curiosity within you, Then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you never miss out on another journey through time. What are your thoughts on this monumental shift? How do you think the ripples of this historical tide are affecting our world today? Drop your thoughts, insights, and reflections in the comments below. Until next time, keep the wheels of time turning.